Hi everyone, today I'm making a video for Today I Learned Cloud about resizing instances inside of Amazon Web Services. So what you can see in front of you right now is the EC2 console that they have available from their website. Basically what I have is a T3A Nano instance type, which is a really small instance. It's only got about half a gig of RAM, and it costs like half a penny an hour to run, so extremely cheap, but it gives you a small machine to play with if you needed something to use. What I'm going to show is that I can actually resize this instance into a bigger machine if I wanted a bigger one for anything that I was doing. The first thing that you need to do to upgrade an instance is actually stop it from running. But you want to make sure before you stop it that you're running an instance that has a EBS root device. So you can see here that the root device is EBS on this instance. Otherwise, I might lose my OS or other data if it was an instance store type machine. So now that we know that's there, I'm just going to connect to the instance and create a file so we know that when we restart it, we're actually using the same machine, even though it's on bigger hardware. So I'm just going to touch, this is my instance. And we can see that file exists. It's on the machine. So I'll close this window. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this instance, the T3A Nano. So we just we pull down the Actions menu, we go to Instance State, and click Stop. And then Yes to stop. So this is going to take a minute or so to actually shut the machine down, and we have to wait for that to complete before we can actually change the instance type. The one I'm going to actually change it to is the T3A Micro, which is very similar to the T3A Nano. It has the bursting capabilities, but it has an extra 512 megs of RAM, which gives me a total of about a gig. You can actually see the instance information here. If you go over to instance type, you can see all the ones that are offered, how many CPUs they have, what architecture they are, the amount of memory and storage, and anything else you might want to know, but especially pricing. So let's go back to the instances. We can see that it's now stopped. So if I want to upgrade this to a T3A Micro, I would then go to Instance Settings under the Actions menu and choose Change Instance Type. And then down here you can see there's a new drop down, and I can select the T3A Micro. So once I have that selected, I just click Apply. And that happens really quickly. We can now see this is a T3A Micro. It's still stopped. So we essentially want to get this back up and running. To do this, we go to Actions, Instance State, Start, and then Yes to start. This will take slightly longer as it boots up the new machine on the T3A Micro hardware. But once this boots up, I'll launch the command window again and show that the file I had created earlier is still on the machine, even though I'm using a bigger machine. And this will take a minute or two to get going. I'll probably speed this up. Oh, there we see it's running. And it's going to have a few status checks. So even though it's running, you might not be able to connect to it yet. We'll give it a shot. See if we can. Oh, it is. So the machine's already up and running. And we can see that the file that I created earlier is still there. This is my instance. So even though I'm running on a new machine, which we can actually see here, 780 megs available. It's slightly less than the 1 gig they claim, but that's some overhead. But yeah, we can see that we're now running a T3A Micro. But what happens if the instance that I was running, I wanted something completely different, like a whole new family? We can do the same thing to change it to a different family instead of a T3A. So I'm just going to stop it again. We'll give this a minute or two. It's usually fairly quick. And I'm doing this with a Linux instance, but you could also do it with a Windows instance if that's what you prefer to use. And one thing you may have noticed that the IP, since I'm not using an elastic IP, is actually different the second time I started it up compared to the first time. that will change every time you do a stop and start, unless you have an elastic IP attached to the instance. Just waiting for this to stop. It's still stopping. Sometimes this is a bit faster than other times. There we go. So now it's showing it that it stopped. And again, so we want to change the family in this case. So we go to the same menu, pull down the actions. We go to the settings and change instance type again, except for this time we can go down the list and choose pretty much anything, any type of instance that Amazon offers. And there's quite a bit. So we have the general instances, the M somethings. There's also compute optimized instances here. So if you need a compute heavy machine, those would be the ones you'd pick. And then there's some memory optimized instances, which would likely be these R instances here. And for example, let's say I needed something that needed a whole lot of storage capacity, local storage capacity on the machine. If I wanted the biggest one available, what I would pick would be the i3 EM24 extra large, and that has about 60 terabytes of local instance storage. So that would likely fit any need that I have in the storage realm. But in this case, I won't go ahead with that. Essentially, what I just wanted to show is that you can change the complete type of the machine to a different family if you wanted. So let's just pick the C4 extra large, which is the compute optimized one. And if I click apply, we now see the instance type has changed to C4 large. And then it's as simple as just starting the machine up again. And we'll see that we have a lot more capacity once this is up and running. A lot more RAM, a lot more CPU, and local storage. Just going to wait for this to boot up and give you an idea of what's available. Again, this will take a minute or two. Oh, so there it's running, and we'll connect to the machine again. So there, we're up and running. Check again that the file is there. It is. This is my instance.txt, which I created a couple machines ago. And we can see now that we have a lot more memory available to us, about 4 gigs, 3.6 total. And there would be more cores as well, since this is a CPU optimized instance. So if you want to learn more about how this is done and any of the gotchas or caveats to doing these changes, you might want to check out my article that I wrote at todayIlearnedcloud/Resize. That will go in depth in all of the changes that are available to changing instances on Amazon in AWS, and we'll list off any of the issues that might happen when you're doing that. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.